Thanks to the support as a channel member, Owen Herterich. Well, we didn't think we'd be here at the end of the last episode, but here we are, Mrs Wearmouth. 2 matches away from Premier League champions. Manchester United, as we thought they might have been distracted by their Champions League run, we tactically eliminated ourselves deliberately from the Champions League so we could focus in on the one we really wanted, the Premier League. And now all we need to do is win one of our remaining 2 games, and we are champions. Yeah, I think there's probably a good chance we bottle this too. Welcome to part 159 of Homegrown. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our final 2 games of the season for you. We're at home against Leeds, away against Brighton. As you can see, since the last episode, we have won 3 Premier League games on the bounce, beating Arsenal away, Tottenham at home, and Chelsea away. You know what? I know they're not all up there as big top 4 clubs these days, certainly not in this universe, but beating Arsenal, Tottenham and Chelsea in 3 consecutive games, 2 of which were away from home, that feels like the kind of form that is deserving of a Premier League champion. And this is what the league table looks like. As you can see, Manchester United letting things slip in the league so they can focus on the Champions League. If we go all the way back to the start of that little run, so there we go, that was the Arsenal game. So as we were beating Arsenal 1-0 away, United went to Southampton and lost 3-0, which is insane, really. They're obviously going for the full rotation off the back of our second leg in the Champions League, whereas we put our strongest team out and beat Slam Dunk's Arsenal, who are struggling to end up in a Europa League spot. I would suggest Slam Dunk is in a precarious position at Arsenal. He's got 2 years left on his contract, but not really making the kind of progress he'd been expected to make. He's done he came in, I think, when they were down in 8th. He's had a 6th, and then a 4th. So got them in the Champions League this season. Now potentially not going to be in Europe at all. I think Slam Dunk might be in line for his first sacking, but Southampton doing fantastic work, doing us a big favour to beat Manchester United there. We then, there you go, they beat Brighton 3-0, so that kept them in touch with us. We beat Tottenham 2-0. They didn't play. Looking for their next game. While we're beating Chelsea away from home, they're drawing 1-1 away against Leicester. Again, handing a huge advantage to us by dropping points there. And then I'm sure there was another one that they lost. Oh no, they beat Wolves 3-0 there. And then that brings us to today. So 2 games remaining. They obviously have the better goal difference, helped largely by the fact they keep thumping us. But we're 4 points clear of them. So by my maths, as long as, we could potentially lose today, and if they lose as well, we'll win the league that way. But we just need to pick up one more win. If we win one of our 2 games, we're guaranteed the Premier League title. We could just as easily do it with a draw or a defeat if they continue to drop points as well. Are they still in the Champions League? Are they still going to be distracted? Let's have a little look. It looks like they are. They are. They've got a Champions League final against Barcelona to plan for, and an FA Cup final against either Liverpool or Newcastle. So it's just this little wobbly run. They've played we've played 3 games since the last episode, which was there. They've played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in the time that we've played 3. It's no wonder that they've dropped points when we haven't. That defeat against Southampton is massive. They lost against Chelsea in between those 2 games as well, which I remember mentioning on the last episode. But they've just played too many games. This is why you can't compete for all of the competitions. Trying to do Premier League, FA Cup and Champions League in the same season, that's a tall order. They might still pull it off, but we're going to try and spoil their fun today. I'd like to get this wrapped up now because this is the home match. This is at the new home of football. We want to win it here. We want a trophy presentation at the end of this match. And this is the team we're sending out to try and make that happen. We're going with Perez in goal. A back four of Kovacic, Elias, Ercan and Vinicius Antonio. McKenna and Kleber in midfield. Ian and Park out wide. And then Juan Jose and Veloso up front. Veloso also on for, is it a 3rd consecutive Golden Boot? Certainly 2nd consecutive. I think it's a 3rd consecutive Golden Boot, though, if Veloso manages to pull this off. And I think he's 3 goals clear currently. So hopefully he can pick that up as well. and we can pick up the victory and celebrate and everyone's happy. Then the final game of the season, we can just all have a jolly good time and not care if we win or lose, because we'll be the greatest team in England, no matter what Manchester United go and do in the Champions League. As we've seen it with the Premier League this season, obviously Chelsea winning the Champions League in real life, they're not any good. It's all about your Premier League winners. That's all that really matters. The Champions League, nerds win the Champions League. We don't want to be nerds. We want to be cool. The logic is indisputable. Right, we'll win the Champions League next year, maybe. We've got to win the Premier League this year first. That's the plan. We have already qualified for next season's Champions League, which I assume you'd been able to figure out from context as you were looking through all this. But we've been given next season's transfer budget, £80 million to spend again. There is certainly money flowing through this football club. Obviously, £80 million for us isn't as tantalising as £80 million for any other club in our situation, because we can't go out and buy a Champions League quality player for £80 million. We've got it. I mean, we could spend 80 million, but it'll be on an 18-year-old who probably won't get into the team straight away. So it's not quite as important for us. I mean, I've had a few people in the comments over the last couple of days asking if I regret not selling Kovacic for 160 million. Is he no longer want away? Oh, he is still asking to leave. He's lost some of the icons. He's back up to being a 4-star player, weirdly, after some terrible performances in the Champions League. But no, I don't regret not selling him for 160 million, because we wouldn't have been able to replace him. As it turns out, we got Primus, who's also very, very good. And if we'd have known Primus was going to come back in and be good enough, we probably do sell him. We don't then get to go on a spending spree because we're limited in the amount of players we can bring in. Not only are we limited by the fact they have to be 18 or under, but we're only allowed to bring in 6 non-homegrown foreign players per year, because we can only sign under 21s and it's the under 21 rule. So we can only sign, unless we're bringing in really overpriced British players, which we saw with Primus. He was crazy expensive. So unless we're bringing in players like that, we can only sign 6 players a season, and they have to be kids. So money isn't that useful for us. Right, Kleber playing out to Vinicius Antonio. We're doing this the hard way. No goal yet. Veloso's in, though. He must be offside. He's not. The flag stays down. It's a 45th goal of the season for Sandro Veloso to put us 1-0 up on 62 minutes. And is that the moment that home win the Premier League? It's questionable. I think he has he just timed that right? The right back must be playing him on. I don't think we can see from that angle. I don't know if we're going to get the suspicious offside replay where we can check. Here we go. It must be that right back who's off screen. Yeah. Well, we'll take it. We don't care how we do it. We'll take it. Kleber, there's no question over that one. An 8th goal of the season for Kleber. It's 2 goals in 2 minutes. And all of a sudden we're 2-0 up. And the new home of football is deafening. We said when Kleber came in, he was always going to be a threat from situations like this. He's shown it again. It's a cartwheel from Kleber. We've gone for our 2 big, strong boys in central midfield today. I think this is my first choice team. Obviously, I would like Kovacic and Park to stop being grumpy, but I think this is my 11. When everybody is fit and everybody is happy and everybody's in form, this is my 11 at the moment. It might be long-term. Much makes his way into the midfield, maybe at the expense of one of these guys. I don't know who. It depends how good he ends up. Perez, the outfield one, is probably a little bit disappointed not to be involved. And Primus might end up taking over from Kovacic there. Hannah might eventually get there at centre-back. I think I mentioned in the last episode, Simon Hannah, our young centre-back who's out on loan at the moment, got runner-up in the Next Gen Award. Jovanovic might eventually come in for Juan Jose. But ultimately, this is our team. Right, we're going to get Perez on the right-hand side. In fact, no, we're not. We're going to bring Francisco on the right-hand side. And we're going to put Perez back into central midfield. That will do for now. We just need to see this over the line. So Perez, who has been captain for the majority of the season, because he's our vice-captain at the moment behind Alex Williams, he can come on and help to steady the ship for us a little bit. I'm being recommended to bring on Douglas Allen free, and I don't think Douglas Allen is the man to come and play as a flying left winger, but Ian definitely does need to come off. So we're going to bring Jovanovic on. Juan Jose can drop out onto the wing. Jovanovic can come on up front. And now we've just got to let the clock tick down. 5 more minutes remaining. It's been relatively straightforward in the end. It's the story of our season in the Premier League. We've just been efficient, and it's another example of being efficient today. And there we have Home winning the Premier League. It has taken us an awfully long time, but I think we've been in the Premier League nearly 10. This might even be 10 years in the Premier League now. It's taken a long time to build this team up to Premier League champions, but Premier League champions we are, and that is awesome. We now have 1 goal and 1 goal remaining before this series comes to an end. Next season and every subsequent season, for as long as the save goes on, our one and only goal is win the Champions League. When we win the Champions League, we put a big old job done tick next to this series and retire and go and live in the countryside with I want to say a swan. I doubt a swan will be there, but you can have swans. Just swans, all right? I want to live somewhere that has swans. It'd be lovely. Well, 1 more game to go. We're going to do some big rotation for this game against Brighton. I think they're already relegated. We're already champions. We're going to show some of the fringe players. We've won the Premier League, boys and girls. Right, as promised, we're shuffling things around a lot for this last game of the season. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to bring Madness into the side. He is injured, so no Madness. I'm wondering if I should have Veloso involved. At the moment, I've not, but I've just remembered I just had an email saying how close he was to setting the all-time record for goals in a season in all competitions, which Henry Barton set way back in the first season on 48 goals. Veloso is currently on 45 goals from 46 matches in all competitions. I feel like he deserves the opportunity, A, to try and break Barton's record, and B, to try and get himself to a goal a game over the season on average. He'd basically have to score a hat-trick to get to a goal a game in the Premier League, more than a goal a game overall, and level with Barton. He's not going to score 4 goals. So on that basis, I think it's more important to give Marcelo and Jovanovic a run out. It means we can bring Camacho on in the second half as well. I don't think Veloso needs to be involved. So people are going to think I'm a monster. Sandro Veloso, you're on holiday early. So our team, Alex Williams back in the goal. It's been a while since you've seen Alex Williams. Now a 2-star player. Bless his cotton socks. But, he's played... he's slowly but surely, if it hadn't been for that season at Crystal Palace, he's slowly but surely catching up with Kieran Hodgkinson's all-time appearance record. He's not going to get there. Interesting as well that his loan when he was younger was at Leamington, who's going to be my start club for non-league to legend next year, which it's only just clicked that Alex Williams is my connection to Leamington. Lovely stuff. But Williams is going to be in goal. We've then got a back four of Primus, Elias, Fazekas and Todd Thomas. Todd Thomas starting his first Premier League game of the season after being involved for so many years. Todd Thomas is definitely done, and we will look to be moving on this summer, but he can say goodbye today. And that allows me to give Vinicius Antonio a run out in midfield, because apparently he is just as good a defensive midfielder, almost as good, as he is right back. Not quite so good in central midfield, but central midfield is where we'll use him if we use him in midfield. He's been great at right back this year, but let's give him a go in midfield. Alongside Much, who gets to play there as the playmaker. Kleber getting a rare start on the left wing after the full-on emergence of Ian this season. Francisco getting a rare start on the right, and then Marcelo and Jovanovic up front. Normally, I'd play Jovanovic as the support striker, but theoretically, he's almost as good at playing as that advanced forward. And Marcelo definitely better off playing as the supporting striker. Ideally, he'd want to be a false 9, but I don't know. I don't really use false 9s, so he can fit into our system and see if it works. Obviously, there's options to change this up from the bench as the match goes on. The result really doesn't matter, other than when it comes to planning for like morale, momentum and stuff going into next season. But I don't think, after the run of wins we're on now, I don't think even a defeat on the last day of the season against a team that are relegated would cause us too much of a problem. And to be honest, I think that 11 is probably good enough to come and beat Brighton, who are already relegated to the Championship. So I think we'll be okay. Much, I want a big watch along of Much today, because I think he's close to being a starter for us. If Much forcing his way into midfield really does make me have to make a decision about the left wing, because it effectively pushes Kleber out. I think you're probably looking at Much and McKenna as your midfield too, which then means I'm again in the situation of having to decide between Kleber and Ian on that left wing. I know you lot love Ian. I love Kleber, sorry. I love them both, but go with Ian because he's an inside forward, and we have Park on the other side who's an out-and-out winger, and I don't want two out-and-out wingers. You can see today we've got Francisco as an inverted winger on this side, even though he's a right footer, just to get him cutting inside a little bit more. I don't want both wide players staying wide, and Kleber really wants to stay wide. Now, of course, his natural position is as a wide target man, so I've never really experimented with it. We could be in a world before too long where we've got Kleber as a wide target man and Marcelo as a false nine. I guarantee no one's ever played those two roles together in the same tactic before. We could do something revolutionary. And right now, we just need to grab a goal, though. 20 minutes to go. We've not really done anything today with these second string boys. They're not doing themselves any favours here when it comes to forcing themselves into the team long term. You know who's coming on, though, with 20 minutes to go. Sir Harrison Davies, back involved at the heart of the home defence. This is his first appearance in the Premier League for getting on for 3 years. He's now 36 years old, still doesn't have staff attributes, but Sir Harrison Davies is playing for us in the Premier League again. Sir Harrison Davies is playing for Premier League champions home in the Premier League 20 years after making his debut. I'm so proud of that man. He's been at this. He had his little time on holiday in Turkey for a couple of years. He's effectively been at this club for the entire 20 seasons of the Save. Never had anyone like that before. It's astonishing. Right, we're going to bring Camacho on, and I think Camacho might be better off as our support striker. So we'll push Marcelo further forward. And for my final change, is there anyone else we want to have a look at? Douglas Allen, after getting a run in the team last year, quite a long run in the team last year, has really fallen down the pecking order again this year. I think Douglas Allen is done. He's capped off at 3-star potential at 22 years old. We've got Simon Hanna coming back into the first team squad next season and needing game time. We'll bring him on now. Douglas Allen can come on to play alongside Davies, but this might be the last you're seeing of Douglas Allen, because if we can get 30 or 40 million pounds for him this year and then draft Hanna into the squad and not really see any downgrade in the team, then I think we'd probably do that. Right, can we have a late winner, please? It would be lovely if it was Davies from a corner. That would be just absolute perfection, poetry, if Harrison Davies could grab the winning goal in the final game of our title-winning season, but I don't think Football Manager has that much romance in it for that to happen. I think there'd just be thousands of fully grown adults crying into their phones and their tablets if Sir Harrison Davies scored. What, you don't care that much? I care that much. I'd shed a tear if Harrison Davies scored. Alex Williams making the save. Come on, Sir Harrison. Get up the other end. Just do it for the romance. Right. Brighton with the corner. Header goes over. Now get up the other end of the pitch. Win a corner. That's all we want. Nobody be shooting in this situation. All we want here is a corner. And then we want Harrison Davies to score a goal. Marcelo, win the corner. Vinicius Antonio, playing it back out to Marcelo again. Win the corner. Fazekas, win the corner. Somebody win the corner. Much has had a very quiet game in midfield. He's been tidy, but nothing impressive. Marcelo is in. He has scored. It's his first goal of the season. He's not quite been at the level that he was at last year. Although, to be fair, he's had much less opportunity this year. It's one of the reasons I let Sydney go out on loan to try and give Marcelo more game time, but it didn't really work out that way. Francisco forcing himself into contention as a regular right winger for us and too many options up front. But Marcelo's still young. We gave him that number 10 shirt. Now he needs to show that he deserves it. It's another very, very tight offside decision, but we've got some very, very quick attackers now that where these tight offsides often go our way because of how quick our players are. Right, Much needs to be a little bit quicker there, getting the tackle in. Brighton have got a breakaway on and they've hit the post and they score at the second time of asking. And it's back to 1-1. And I mean, there's late action. All this is doing is setting up the opportunity for Davies to score the winner again. We don't want to see the replay. We want it right. Win the corner. All we want here is a corner. Vinicius Antonio. Have a shot from range, win the corner. Fazekas playing it into Marcelo again. And now Brighton have got the opportunity for another counter-attack. I'm assuming they're already relegated. They're playing like a team that could still stay in the Premier League. Camacho to Vinicius Antonio. Kleber playing it across to Francisco. He's got Fazekas on a flying overlap. Fazekas is looking at Antonio, wondering why he's playing at right back. And there's Francisco, who, again, demonstrating that when given the opportunity, Francisco doesn't let us down. He was described in the comments recently as our Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And yeah, I can see that a little bit. I feel like Francisco could be here for the next 10 years just playing that super sub role because he's always good for a goal when we bring him on. He's just never likely to start because he's not a top tier player. But then according to attributes and star ratings and media descriptions, neither is Sandro Veloso, who still isn't considered a world class or an elite striker. He's just striker. And we can look at his attributes again now. I don't really understand why Veloso is as good as he is. I mean, I do kind of understand because I know how FM21 works. He's as good as he is because he's got 17 acceleration, 17 pace. It's his physicals, similar to what we've seen with Park. Physicals dominates all when it comes to playing as an attacking player. Yeah, he's only got 13 finishing. It's not disastrous. 16 composure with those physicals and that off the ball. That's why he scores as many goals as he does. But he's not considered a world-class player or anything along those lines, which is bizarre considering 10 goals in 15 international caps as well. To me, that's the definition of world class. But I guess he's not got the current ability if you look in the rascal areas of the game, which we can't do because we don't have the editor enabled on this save. So we'll never actually know what his current ability was. But there we have it, boys and girls. We have won the Premier League. And now we go again to try and get that Champions League title. We've played in the Champions League twice now. And it's not exactly gone to plan just yet, has it? How do we kind of look at, there you go, Champions League. We've had a semi-final defeat and a quarter-final defeat. Third time lucky. We're up to 4.5-star reputation now. So fingers crossed the combination of jumping up to that and winning the Premier League might just be enough to convince the two want-away boys to stay. If not, I'm not against selling Kovalik this summer, but I do want my £200 million that I've wanted all along. I don't know how likely it is that I'm going to get it when his in-game value is 9.75 million, but we've turned 160 million down before. So if you think I'm going to be accepting the £30 million offers we were getting in January, you're crazy. It's not even the real top level clubs who are in for him anymore. How very odd. He needs to just decide to stay, I think. Otherwise, I'll be cross with him. That'll learn him. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.